Welcome back to the Wilderness Podcast. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, we are here. We got a special guest tonight, but we'll be talking about that later. But in a minute, we got to talk about what we have in front of us or what's behind us. You have to think about the equations of life and how life has different turns. And the older you get, the more you understand how you have kind of evolved, or how you have evolved, or how you've discovered new things, new traits. When you discover that you have gifts, things that you remember, your blood lineage, how you figure how to figure your way into developing yourself. And sometimes you have these what you would call gifts that you were born with. It's true. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you have these gifts that you were born with, things that you recognize, that you realize, but you have to hone these skills. You have to develop your skills. When you develop your skills, you have to apply what you develop. So, when you think about, just thinking about, the title of the show, are you from the past? And do you self reflect? But are you from the past, existing in the present? We're spiritual beings. I like to explain that and tell people that a lot. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So let's just take a walk through. Let's rephrase some elements, because a lot of times you have this mental memory, and then you also have physical memory. So let's just take a little walk through it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You think about it. Just have a real thought. Are we just modern bodies, or are we living expressions of our ancestors? Does your body remember what you does your body remember what your mind forgets? Think about it. Trauma, habits, survival traits can be passed down if you allow them to. But they can be passed down. But the thing about it is, you have these hypertensions, you have these ways, your fears, your instincts, the reflexes. You might not even, it starts with the fear of authority. Your hyper awareness. You know what I mean? Things like that. You got to have a survival mindset. Things that you just remember. Sometimes y'all think you're reacting, but what if that's memory? When you're reactionary, sometimes if it's memory, especially if it saves your life, if it saves you, if you're able to, pivot somewhere else with your whole situation and make it successful. But also, if you're in an act or in a situation of danger, that memory can save your life. That subconscious reaction can save your life, for real. So repeating family cycles too. We always think about how we're raised and how we distribute our behaviors, and how we overreact or just react, period. We always have to think about that reactionary place, because is it poverty? Is it relationship patterns, emotional suppression, all of which can have an effect on how you respond, to how you interact with people. And when it's almost like exchanging. And when you exchange with people, some people try to compare, and you're not asking for a comparison. You're just asking sometimes for someone to listen. You're not asking for advice. You just need someone to hear, vice versa. Exchanges begin with a concept of thought that you collaborate on to have a positive outcome or an outcome. There has to be an outcome, but it should be positive. But that depends on you. Some things have to do with behavioral inheritances as well. So, in some instances, you don't get the you're not aware of your behavior, so you just behave subconsciously, not trying to develop the real elements of yourself. But cultural memory, is extremely powerful as well because you got to think about language patterns, music, rhythm, style, expressions. It's the differentiation, cultural differentiations. So even without being taught, people gravitate towards ancestral culture. But it's also the environments that you grew up in that make you gravitate to what's also in your survival and what you would do to survive. It's a big difference, especially being applied to, you know, people coming to America. What you consume, the way you live your lives, the way your patterns. Some things have to change, and some things that you want to remain, even being from an outside environment. All of these things have to do with reflecting on your past and how you can't let certain things go, even when your everyday lives or your everyday, interactions with people and other kinds of people. You always have the expression to let someone know who you are, where you come from. Some people are ashamed. I don't know why. I don't have that. I don't have a connection with someone being ashamed of where they come from. I think that's I think that's a problem because you're not really dealing with um, you're dealing with fantasy at that point. It's a fantasy. You want to fulfill a fantasy, a falsehood, a false way of life, a false way of being, a false way of operating. That's fantasy. That's not reality. That's fantasy. So when you want to fulfill a fantasy on the account of exploitation, that's exactly what colonization is, in essence, because you want your fantasy, but not a reality. Because if you wanted your reality, you could go back to your homelands. You could retrieve, the things that you need. Haven't you learned enough in foreign places or spaces? But what if you're not even welcome back home because of the deeds that you've done and how you've double crossed or, trampled over people in your homelands? Is that because you have the same behavior that you basically took there and brought here to a new place? Same behaviors. So that would make you a problem wherever you go. Maybe you're not welcome back in your homeland, and you're not welcome in places that you have taken advantage of. That should be a problem too. But let's pivot though. We're gonna get to the other sides of these equations. Stand up, sugar baby. Come on, stand up. My daughter, she looks like a great, great, great deal of people. She looks like my father's mother. She looks like my mother at times. She looks like her cousins from both sides. My mother, her mother, and her mother, and my side of the family. She has just a beautiful blending. Look, baby, look at the look. Yeah, she has a beautiful blended uh, way of looking because she is who she is. So, what you want to say to the people?
I got a new tooth.
Oh, it's coming in. All right. All right. Give me some sugar. Can I have some? Can I have some sugar? Oh, give me some sugar. Give me some sugar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I want to go see the comet.
Go ahead. Just got to go see the comments. Okay. So anyway, back to the show. Let's get to the next side. The next side of the show. We want to tap into the spiritual side. You know, we want to tap into when we talk about are you from the past. Now we got to do a little self reflecting for real. You know, if you think about you know, let me get my comments on display. Let me get the chat going. Matter of fact, see if I can get YouTube chat going. See if we got some people coming on chat. Show chat. All right. Anyway, okay, let's get back to it. All right. So you have to think about your ancestors' lives. Your ancestors living through you. As I explained, I think it was yesterday when I was on YouTube. Not YouTube. I was on TikTok talking to some people. We was wrapping it up. We was chopping it up real good about a lot of subjects, and it was we had a good time, very good time. But also, we were just discussing um, uh, who you come from as a person, and I've also brought this up a few times on the show, and that's with basically what your makeup is, and who you come from. So, like, if I know I'm from Pensacola, Florida, which I tell you all the time where I'm from, I'm not ashamed of where I'm from. I'm from Pensacola, Florida. That's my people from. I was born Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola, Florida. And I also um, lived there for a decade of my whole life until we moved to Columbus, Georgia, which I spent a great deal of my adolescence. I had a good time. Met a lot of people. That's family. I still got people there that I call family this very day because I grew up with them. I've been knowing them my whole life, the majority of my whole life. So you move around places. Then you go in. I went in the Marine Corps. My Marine Corps brothers, my whole life. You know what I'm saying? That's my people. That's who I rock with. That's what it was. You know what I'm saying? That's who. Uh, you know, I salute. You know what I'm saying? That's my dogs. You know what I'm saying? We brothers. You know what I mean? So, but then is that other side. It's your ancestors who lived through you. See, the one person in you is two people. Two people becomes 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 200, 256. You got 512. You got 1,024, 2,048. You got 4,096, and so on and so forth. That's how many people that you come from. That's what make up the one you. All right, Shikaboo, go get out of there. Come on with your little bonnet on. I'm doing my show. You want to keep distracting me?
No.
All right, well, go
I
back.
just want to listen. I want to see that.
I need you to go. You're distracting me. Go.
Okay, sorry.
All right, baby. Love you. Okay, now here we are. All right, so the thing is, another way of understanding what I'm trying to convey. What's going on, brother? I'm doing the show. You want to be on the show? All right, I call you back. All right, yes, sir. All right, so another aspect of how you think about, if you have existed before, if you've been around, you know, it has been discovered with countless people that they have had dreams, experiences. They have had real life experiences. Answers have been questions has been answered through their dreams, through their spiritual connections with other realms. You know what I mean? Human beings are. You got indigo children. You got people with special gifts. You got people that have, different a different tune, a characterization about themselves. They have different elements about themselves. Born with it, just blessed. And I'm happy to know that I've ran account. I've encountered quite a few spiritually. You know, I consider myself a person that can see and connect. I don't try to add too many self-induced or self-proclaimed elements to myself. I'm just letting you know I can see too. I have feelings too. So, you know, people can equate that with special gifts, but I think it's things that you are supposed to develop. If you have a gift, you develop it, you hone it, but you also have to develop around it. You got to develop certain elements with yourself to actually make that gift, excuse me, help you develop your gift, help you see the purpose of developing your gift. It's very important because if it's a gift, that means it comes from, you know, one of those people that I've named, you know, and how many elements and people, singularity, those are singularity numbers. Your mother and your father, they have their differences. And the same person that you are, the unique character being that you are, it's the same unique character being that you came from. And if you can help, even with your parents, or you can help your siblings, if you can help your children realize how unique they are, then you can perhaps help them become the best version of themselves. That's how generation works, even with oral tradition. So some people have the same struggles, different eras, same system, different names, and same emotional wounds. All of these things that you connect with, and you know, those cycles of life that you evolve on, you identify, and you have to question specific things like who were people in pictures. I used to ask my grandmother that all the time. Who was this? All the pictures she covers her walls in pictures. So you have to go say, who is that in this picture? Well, that's such and such. You kind of remind me of them because, you know, they went in the military at such age, and they kind of lived. You kind of got their ways, you know. So you talk to your parents, and I tell you again, my pops used to always tell me, "You like Will Laster." My mom used to tell me, "You like Will Crosby." I'm like, man, what is it about them? So then you'll understand. They start describing stories. They start letting you know what kind of character they had. They let you know the events that they participated in or that they caused, how dynamic they were of a character. Now, can you say these things are true or false? No, you're being told a story. But then you can know if they're true or false just how many times you hear it the same way, the same way it's phrased, the same verberations, the same highlights and low points. When you know when someone's going to cry, when you know that they're shedding tears because their memory has either made them believe this story or this story is so true that they can never let it go. And they want you to know what they know because they want you to remember it too. So that dynamic, that expression should give you the appreciation of holding on to that same story as well. That's the purpose. And that's the reason of oral tradition. Things translate different orally. They pierce to your core, your heart. They have a way in you, through you. They grow you, they purify you. The words from your elders shape you. When they look you in your eyes and you look them back in theirs, they can tell you how long, how good, how well, and how purposeful your life is going to be just by looking in your soul through your eyes. That's what you should understand about the reason why you don't throw away old people. Not the good ones. You don't even throw away the bad ones, because the bad ones can teach you the most valuable lessons of all, what not to be. And they funny as hell. And they can also tell you the truth, because they'll let you know if you're going to end up like them or not. And that's what it is. So, yeah, let's get back to some more. Let's get back to the past versus the present tension. Let's get to that. Sometimes you got to put yourself in you got to give yourself the ability to carry strength forward. Everything that you have experienced, it could have been a negative experience or a positive experience. Regardless of the situation, carry the strength that you gain from it forward. That's what should mean everything to you, because that's the lesson. That's when you chew up the meat and spit out the bones. You know what I'm saying? That's when you get full on real information that can pivot you in a positive, successful direction. But it all begins with perception. But a lot of people love to give you deceptions. Deceptions are very real. That's why, when you see young folks and they have an old soul, you're like, damn, they can't be deceived. They kind of seen too much. Well, some people are born with elements that are different. They see life different, the world different. They have more vision. Or maybe they just can practice knowing how situations can pan out. Remember when you look at one of my old shows, you understand I'm talking about vice versus virtue. Vengeance versus virtuous paths. Some people take a path of vengeance. A path of vengeance can wind you in jail, behind a cell, or in the grave, getting dirt thrown on you. Being virtuous puts you in a place of principality, opportunity, a way forward, success. So you have to be careful with your life choices every day, day in and day out. Whichever way you go, there are positives and negatives. There are pros and cons, but there's also vengeance or vice versus virtue. Vice versus virtue. So check this out also. You feel older than your age. Some of you. I know a lot of you younger people do. And I love connecting with you too. I love connecting with the people that feel older than their age. That's a blessing, because that means they have some intelligence about themselves, and they seek it. They seek to be intelligent. They seek it out. When you seek intelligence, when you seek knowledge and information, proper information, but you have to do a good job of being a good judge of character as far as logic, understanding what logic is and how it tilts you and can persuade you, but understanding how that ebb and flow or that tilt can shape your thoughts. Stay steady, stay grounded, stay learned, but don't go down rabbit holes that would alter you fundamentally. Okay, you connect deeply with history and culture. That's how you know, because you always want to know. It's not that you know, it's that you just have to know. You have to discover. What I would like for you to do is transfer that energy into your specific path. It makes it easier. If you have access to your Like I'm so blessed, so grateful and appreciative, and I'm so what I would say in a situation to where my mother and my father, I was able to retrieve an immense amount of information from my grandparents. So that allowed me to know so much about my construct, who my construct and who I am deeply. And that creates a hell of an impression on anyone because you know who you are from a specific place. It's very powerful because you're unwavering and you're unshakable in that that specific space. And that's your space, by the way. That's who you are. That's what you develop. That's what you grow. That's what you cannot alter. That's what you have to be. So dig this. And you have to that's what you strive to be, the best version of yourself. That's what you strive to be. You understand? So check this out also. You carry emotional weight that doesn't match your life. Yeah, that's a heavy one there. To carry emotional weight that doesn't match your life. That's when you should get to work, to get to discovering, you know. And a lot of times it's also good to talk to people, exchange with people. You know, I'm not leaving you people out in the chat. I'm giving a show, so I'm opening up the chat for people to exchange and, you know, that type of thing. So good for you. Keep doing so, please. First of all, I understand that everybody doesn't have birth parents. So I can't, or I won't just, you know, leave people that do not have birth parents. I won't leave you out of the equation. There are different tools that are meant to be that you can use to find yourselves as well. It's public records, tracing, you know, back to your hospitals, tracing back, going to your orphanages, going to your birth parents, and you know, police records. You know, all of those things can lead you, and I would advise those type of people to get DNA or ancestry tests just to trace back your, you know, who you come from. I'm not talking about people that are like, I know my mom and my daddy. I'm not adopted. I know all my blood relatives, but you have to understand that there are people that do not. So if you got that type of you know, what's going on, I guess you can participate in that. But I would say I would give you the other side of that before I give you that advice too. The other side of it is you don't know what the hell you're gonna be walking into. That family could be crazy. That family cannot be rich. A lot of people, you could be walking through a whole hell of a lot of turmoil. So I would advise you to never just go head into a situation. You might want to do your research, but don't go poking at people that you don't know because they will probably look at you as a stranger because you are a stranger. And I also told you guys, everybody in the world share DNA, and I wonder why. Do you know how many people? Man, we're gonna get into another show about that because I want to bring some real evidence to these equations, and want to read, and I want to have the books lined up to read to you about because I got a lot of subjects on, you know, these taking of children and babies, and you know, people that grew up with parents and the parents never even told them that was not their even biological child. People have stories like that, and people act as if they are unaware of stories like that, but they're very true and they're very real. Especially in European society. I've ran across countless people of European descent that have been adopted, and a few blacks, but they was normally from another country, like Somalia or Sudan or Sierra Leone, like some place they was adopted from, and they was raised in America, but they was adopted by whites, or they was adopted. Period. So that was very big in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of bad stories came out about those things too. And some kids were even adopted that were in Nickelodeon and being sold to being into these fabulous lifestyles. And this child, you wind up committing suicide, and wind up in that child. You find out that child was adopted and had been, sexually, allegedly sexually molested. It cringes. It's a cringy thing to bring up those subjects, but they have to be talked about and they have to be discussed because it's a very, very, very real situation. And you know how big it is in the industry. You know how big it is in the country. You know, the world. It's a worldwide industry of sexual trafficking. You know, so a lot of people, talk about an ancestral past. The diluting and the discharging and the taking of people from their, ancestral homeland, and people abandoning their ancestral homeland. And you got to think what kind of person that creates. A lot of mentally surviving people, and a lot of people stuck in a state of mental survival. So what will they do when you're stuck in a state of mental survival? Aren't you going to rob? Aren't you going to steal? Aren't you going to cheat? Aren't you going to lie? Aren't you going to manipulate? Aren't you going to do anything you can do to survive? That's a lot of mentality. I'm discovering that's the mentality of a lot of people. So they don't really think much of lying at all. They don't give a damn about a lie. They don't give a damn about thieving, stealing, killing, cheating. As long as they are surviving, that's what they consider humanity. And I don't consider that to have a place in humanity. But that's just me. But you have humans that disregard other humans as if they are nothing. Yeah. Let's pivot again. For people that have these intricate thoughts that are repetitive, maybe it's a memory. Or maybe it's a memory. Maybe, maybe it's a memory. Maybe it didn't even start with you. It didn't. It couldn't have started with you. If you have a memory that you did not muster up, it appeared. See, the appearance is the beauty. Pay attention to the appearance. And also be careful of what you muster up. Yeah, please. It's extremely important. Be careful of the appearance and also what you muster up. You see, I would even go as far as saying people live or spirits have the ability to live through the living. That's what you call possessions. When somebody's possessed and you feel they're not acting like themselves, that's because they're vulnerable. See, in the IT world, you call it, you got to watch what ports that are open and closed as far as vulnerabilities. When you're vulnerable, things can happen and you don't even know what's happening to yourself. Maybe it's what you ate that opened up that port in you that made you vulnerable and susceptible to being ill, sick, or diseased. Is it something you ate? Or is it something that someone said that activated that shit? You have to really be careful. Because a lot of us are spiritual beings having a human experience. And some of us are susceptible to bad spirits. So what I'm alluding to is be aware, be conscious of yourself and the things that are around you, the people that are around you, and also the things that are around you, because everything vibrates, and some entities and some things carry a specific energy that may not work for you. Think about it. What I'm going to end you with, we're going to close it out, but what we're going to end with is recognize and realize the moments and the times that we are living in so that you can really think about where your place is in the present, what your place was in the past, and how that affects your place in the future. But the present is the future. Every breath you take. That's the show tonight. I appreciate you tuning into the Willis Podcast. Thank you. I will be doing my next show. I'll be doing it on TikTok. Just get my I got to do another show just to give a fallout. Talk to a few people, let the people know. Come tune into the Willis Podcast. Subscribe. Share, like. And be cool, be merry, be nice, be supportive of the Willis Podcast. Thank you so much. I'll be on TikTok in a little bit, but I thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you. But know this and understand this true and again and again. The will is yours. Be cool, stay easy, stay up, and keep a proper mindset. Be easy. Peace.